y'all this history of the Ouija board, the ancient African, Egyptian, now Valley Ouija board. Now, when you look at the glyphs, you see the ancient Africans on the wall playing what we would call today board games. But what these really were was spiritual tools in order for the ancestors to communicate to them, not for you to get on it. And because they always say it's for you to communicate to the spirits. It's not for you to get on there and you be talking. It's for you to, sit at the feet of the ancestors, so to speak. And the Egyptians would use these as a tool to communicate with the higher powers, where they was able to break through, barriers of existence between the two parties, which is the dead and the living, which they never believed in death, by the way. So they always, communicated, was able to communicate with the people that was no longer in the physical. So, and you can see these glyphs all on the wall with them using this. You see, and that's how they was able to also have a higher level of knowledge, because everybody always give, the Egyptians credit for, how much knowledge they got, and how much ahead of their time they were, even ahead of the technology that we got today. We still not on the level of the ancient Africans of the Nile Valley. That's just true. And any scientist or historian will tell you that. You see? So when you dealing with religion, we done been taught with these fire night minds and these Christian Judaism, Islamic minds that y'all got, that this is all devil worship. That's not true. The only reason why he think like that because he began to ask it too many questions. Now, like I said, the Africans is a spiritual tool for the dead to communicate to you and give you certain levels of knowledge and higher consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Not for you, because they still alive. What you call, you'll see the Africans, even when they not in the physical anymore, you will seeing what they left forward in their statue, which is the Nesiam suit, which means they still alive. You see what I'm saying? That's how we know they never had a concept of death. And plus, like I said, them what we call board games today were spiritual tools for the ancient Africans for the dead to communicate certain knowledge to them. They didn't sit there and just keep asking the questions. That don't mean, because when you go to the master, it's for him to speak and you to listen, not for you to talk over him and he listen to you. So when the Europeans got the board, they began to ask it too many questions. Now, legend is that the creator of the board, who was Elgin Bond, and he was heavy into occultism. Now, what y'all got to know is the Fox sisters, which is the two women who brought, spiritualism to Europe for the first time. Before that, it was all, goblins and see, they could goblins and witches and stuff like that, but it wasn't no spiritualism to it. You see what I'm saying? But the Fox sisters and Madame Blavatsky also is the first people to bring that spiritualism, the occultism, into Europe. And Madame Blavatsky learned it in India, and of course the Buddhas or whatever are Kushite Africans. But the Fox sisters, they brought this into Europe. And, Elgin Bond was a student of the Fox sisters, of some of these first spiritual teachers that come into Europe. Now, Elgin Bond, legend is that the first question that he asked the Ouija board, which he recreated off an ancient Egyptian, what we would, the spiritual tool, but what we would call today board game, which was, like I said, a spiritual tool. So the first one that was created in, I think, Baltimore, Maryland, by a man named Elgin Bond. Now, the first question he asked it, what shall I call you? And it said Ouija. which is an Egyptian word, which means good luck. Okay? Ouija mean good luck. See, they would see the Egyptians. I told you because they asking it something, so it replenishes, you know, the so-called dead or the spiritual world. It gives it more reality base because it can, it's there because you can communicate with each other. When you ignore it and go into it asking too many questions, that's when you start opening up too many different portals, the ones that, because anybody can come through that. Because anybody can come through that. But when you calling on certain individuals on the board and you bring them forth and let them speak and let it roll, however they go, and it'll be good luck. You know what I'm saying? They would ask them when the Nile gonna flood. You know, they would tell them certain prophecies like the encroaching desert that was coming. You know what I'm saying? And when the Nile would flood, the food would grow, the plants and the animals would be more come back around, and so they would look at that as a blessing from the ancestors. You see what I'm saying? A blessing from nature, a phenomenon. You see what I'm saying? And it would happen during the Sirius star. See, we going into the Christmas, which is the rise of the Eastern Star, whatnot. And that's the time that Nile will flood. So they would look at that as good luck. The ancestors communicated with them and gave them, the blessings of the flood of the Nile. But that's just one example. But let's get back to this cultism. So you got a man named William Floyd who commercializes the Ouija board. He commercializes the Ouija board. Now, by him not having the ancient Egyptian science of letting the ancestors speak, he gives the game to where he myopic, to where he is you asking the questions and not letting them tell their story from the other side. Because the ancient Egyptians was not deaf. They was believed in the heaven. Y'all believe in heaven, right? Okay, that's where that concept comes from also. You see, I did the Golden City. Y'all go watch that video right here on YouTube. But y'all believe in that heaven, so so it's not evil, nothing evil. It's giving me information and knowledge of what I can't, of the unknown, what I can't understand. And that's why they was could come up with so many inventions ahead of their time like that, thousands and thousands and thousands, damn near 10,000 years ago and 5,000 years ago, how they knew all these things because they was communicating with outside forces. Facts. So, your man William Floyd, commercializes the game all over America and people begin to use it. But people begin to use it in that myopic way of asking it, and it starts to, and that's where the evilness thinking of it come from because they not using it in the proper way. So William Floyd falls off his building, where he creating the Ouija boards off, and falls into a gate and pierces his heart and he dies. But on his deathbed in the hospital, he told his children the Ouija board is stop creating it, which they didn't listen, obviously, because we got them today. But he tells them to stop creating that Ouija board because they don't know how to use it in its proper perspective. You see what I'm saying? So, and today the Ouija board is something, only occult people deal with. You see what I'm saying? But that the real way to don't go to asking it a bunch of questions. Never ask it about God. Never ask it about God. Cause then that's when it'll get to tripping. And never ask it when you gonna die. And then see that's when it'll get to tripping. But we gonna do some getting close to this Halloween. We gonna get into some spiritualism tonight, y'all. We gonna get into the occult and the dark world. You see what I'm saying? The dark world, the hidden. You see what they don't want to tell you with these religions. Drop out.